Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today. If you're the kind of person who loves figuring out how things tick at a fundamental level, well, you're in for a real treat. Today, we're going to explore the microscopic structures that literally keep us alive. We're going on a journey deep inside the building blocks of life itself. Okay, let's dive right into this. What if your cells operated like a bustling, complex city? I know, it sounds a little like science fiction, right? But it's actually the absolute perfect way to understand biology. Just imagine a thriving metropolis. Every single part of that city has a very specific, highly vital job. You've got power stations pumping out energy, factories manufacturing essential goods, post offices sorting and packaging materials, and of course, a central command center managing the whole grid. Well, our cells operate with that exact same level of organization and purpose. So to really map out our city, we first need to define its infrastructure. We're talking about organelles. An organelle is a specialized structure inside a cell, specifically eukaryotic cells. That just means the cells that make up plants and animals, including you and me. Think of the word organelle as basically meaning little organ. Just like your heart and lungs perform specific functions for your body, these tiny structures perform highly specific, non-negotiable functions that are absolutely essential for the survival of the cell. Section 1. Welcome to Cell City, Government and Power. Every high-functioning system needs a central command and a reliable energy grid. So here we have the city's government, the nucleus. Think of it as the cellular leadership. The nucleus is typically the largest organelle in a eukaryotic cell, and it is the absolute control center. It dictates all cellular activities. But most importantly, it's the highly secure vault that stores your DNA, the genetic blueprint of life itself. By protecting and reading this DNA, the nucleus regulates growth, dictates exactly when the cells should divide, and directs the manufacturing of proteins. Oh, and tucked right inside it is the nucleolus, which has one very special job, producing ribosomes. We'll meet those guys shortly. Next up, we've got our heavy-duty power plants, the mitochondria. If the nucleus is the government, the mitochondria are the energy generators actually keeping the lights on. A city just cannot run without electricity, and a cell cannot run without energy. Through a really complex process called cellular respiration, mitochondria generate energy in the form of a molecule called ATP. This ATP is basically the energetic currency that supplies the entire cell and drives all of its metabolism. Without these powerhouses working around the clock, the whole city goes completely dark. Now, here's the truly surprising fact that I just love. Mitochondria contain their own separate DNA. Yeah, no way, right? Distinct from the DNA securely locked away in the nucleus, mitochondria carry their own genetic material. It's this fascinating evolutionary quirk. Scientists actually believe this stems from mitochondria originally being free-living bacteria that were just absorbed by larger cells billions of years ago. It's a brilliant piece of biological history hiding right there inside our energy plants. Section 2. The Manufacturing and Transport District. All right, with our government and power grid setup, this is where the cell creates the physical materials it needs to function and builds the highways to ship them. It's a continuous biological assembly line. Step 1 starts with the ribosomes. Remember how the nucleolus made them? Well, these are your protein factories, manufacturing the proteins, enzymes, and hormones the cell relies on. Step 2 brings us to the rough ER, or endoplasmic reticulum. It's called rough because it is literally studded with those ribosomes. It acts like a bustling highway system for synthesizing and transporting those new proteins. And finally, step 3, the Golgi apparatus. Once the proteins travel down the ER highway, they arrive here to be modified, sorted, packaged, and shipped off to their final destinations. Let's pause for a sec to clarify something absolutely crucial about this ER highway system. There are actually two distinct types of endoplasmic reticulum. The rough ER, which we just looked at, is covered in ribosomes and is entirely dedicated to the heavy lifting of protein synthesis and transport. But right next to it is the smooth ER. It has no ribosomes, hence the name smooth, and has a totally different industrial job. It focuses on synthesizing lipids or fats, detoxifying chemicals, and storing calcium. So two highways, completely different cargo. Now, I want to bring our focus back to the Golgi apparatus for a moment, because its essence can be captured so simply. It works like a courier company that packages products before delivery. Just like a massive, modern fulfillment center, the Golgi takes the raw products, puts them in the cellular equivalent of cardboard boxes, which we call secretory vesicles, and ships them out. It even produces the heavy-duty cleanup tools for the cell, which leads us perfectly into our next district. Section 3. Waste Management and Defense. You know, a bustling city generates a ton of waste, and it's constantly facing external threats.
Which brings us to a pretty intense, highly memorable moniker, the suicide bags of the cell. Now, this is an edgy nickname for an organelle that performs one of the most critical and honestly, sometimes dangerous jobs in the entire cellular city. Yep, we are talking about the lysosomes, the ultimate recycling and defense centers. So why the intense nickname? Well, because lysosomes contain incredibly powerful digestive enzymes. They constantly patrol the cell, digesting worn-out organelles, removing waste, and destroying invading bacteria. They're called suicide bags because if a cell becomes irreparably damaged or infected, the lysosomes can intentionally rupture. They release their potent enzymes to digest and destroy the entire cell from the inside out just to protect the rest of the organism. It's a remarkable, self-sacrificing defense mechanism.
Right alongside the lysosomes, we have the peroxisomes, acting as the city's specialized hazmat team. Their primary job is detoxification. As the cell breaks down fatty acids, it naturally produces hydrogen peroxide, which is a highly toxic chemical that could cause severe oxidative damage. But the peroxisome has this brilliant solution. It uses a fascinating enzyme called catalase to instantly convert that dangerous hydrogen peroxide into completely harmless water and oxygen. It is chemical engineering at a microscopic scale, constantly protecting the cell from poisoning itself. Section 4. Storage and Plant Specialties. Up until now, pretty much everything we've talked about applies to both animals and plants. But let's look at some cool architectural differences, starting with vacuoles. Think of vacuoles as the city's reservoirs and warehouses, storing water, nutrients, pigments, and waste. The function is the same, but the structure is vastly different depending on the cell type. Animal cells have several small, scattered storage units, but plant cells, they feature one massive, central vacuole. It's actually so large that it provides structural support, keeping the plant cell rigid and plump. It's a brilliant adaptation for organisms that can't just, get up and walk over to a stream when they're thirsty.
And that brings us to an organelle completely exclusive to plants, the striking green chloroplast. If mitochondria are the power plants that run on chemical fuel, chloroplasts are the ultimate solar farms. They contain chlorophyll, which is what gives plants their green color, and they perform the literal magic of photosynthesis. They capture raw sunlight and use it to produce glucose, turning solar energy into actual, usable food. It's an infrastructure upgrade that animal cells simply do not possess.
Section 5. The complete city nap. We've explored every major district now, so let's lock this in. The crucial point here is how perfectly all this infrastructure aligns. The nucleus leads, the mitochondria power, the ribosomes and rough ER manufacture. The smooth ER handles fats and detox. The Golgi packages and ships. Lysosomes and peroxisomes clean and defend. And vacuoles and chloroplasts store and generate food. Every single organelle has a distinct, vital role. If even one of these systems goes offline, the whole city is compromised. This whole map really represents the concept of cellular synergy. These specialized structures don't just exist in isolation, right? They are in constant, dynamic communication. The energy from the mitochondria powers the ribosomes to make proteins, which are then transported by the ER, packaged by the Golgi, and used to build more structures or even repair damage that gets cleaned up by the lysosomes. Together, and only together, they maintain cell survival, drive growth, manage metabolism, and ensure reproduction. Now you might be wondering, okay, why does this actually matter to me? Well, understanding this intricate city map isn't just about passing a biology test. Grasping how organelles function is the absolute foundation of modern biotechnology, genetics, and medicine. When we design targeted therapies for diseases, when we engineer new biofuels, or even when we unlock the secrets of aging, we are directly manipulating the machinery of these very organelles. Which leads me to leave you with one final, pretty provocative thought. We've seen how perfectly this city operates when it's healthy. But what happens to our bodies when this microscopic city infrastructure breaks down? What happens when the powerhouse fails, or the waste management system backs up? The answers to those questions are literally the key to understanding almost every major disease known to humanity. Thank you so much for joining me on this incredible microscopic tour. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.